What if money doesn't exist because of gold, or government, or even value? What if money exists for only one reason? Because you promised to owe, not verbally, not consciously, but structurally. From the moment modern money was born, it carried a condition: it could only survive if someone stayed in debt. And here's the disturbing part. If everyone paid what they owed tomorrow, money itself would collapse. No headlines warn you about this. No textbooks say it plainly, because once you see it, you can't unsee it. So tonight, we're going to pull on a single thread and watch the entire financial system unravel, not with conspiracy theories, but with history, with math, with cause and effect.
Oh.
This is the story of how money stopped being a thing and became a promise you can never fully keep. Part 1. Before money needed debt for most of human history, money didn't need promises. It was physical, limited, and final. Gold, silver, grain, livestock. When you paid, the transaction ended. No interest, no future obligation, no permanent claim on tomorrow. Empires rose and fell under this system, but one thing stayed constant. Money represented something that already existed. If gold was scarce, money was scarce. If silver ran out, spending stopped. Growth was slow. Crises were brutal. But debt was temporary, not structural. Then something changed. Not overnight, not by accident, and not without intention. Part 2, the moment promises replaced metal. The real turning point wasn't paper money, it was credit. Merchants realized something powerful. They didn't need gold to trade, they needed trust. So instead of paying now, people paid later. Promise replaced a coin. At first, this was harmless. Small loans, short terms, local trust. But then banks entered the story. And banks discovered a trick that changed everything. Part 3. The fractional illusion. Banks learned they didn't need to keep all the money people deposited. If only 10% of customers withdrew cash at any time, they could lend the other 90%. So one deposit became multiple loans. Money began multiplying, not because more wealth existed, but because more promises existed. This is fractional reserve banking. And it introduced a fatal dependency. For money to exist, someone had to owe it back. Every dollar created was also a debt. Every expansion required obligation. The system now needed borrowers, not savers, and it needed them forever. Part 4. Interest. The invisible trap. Debt alone wasn't enough. Banks added interest. Now borrowers owed more money than was created. But here's the catch. That extra interest money was never created. So where does it come from? From new debt. Which means old debt can only be paid with new debt. Total debt must always grow. Someone must always fall behind. This wasn't a bug. It was the engine. Part 5. Central banks enter the story. As economies grew unstable, governments stepped in. They created central banks. Official story. To stabilize money, to prevent collapse, to manage growth. Real effect. They institutionalized debt creation. Central banks don't create money for free. They lend it into existence. Governments borrow their own currency. Citizens repay it through taxes. Interest flows upward. Money now required: government debt, corporate debt, household debt. No debt, no money. Part 6. The gold chain breaks. Gold was the last restraint. It limited how much debt-backed money could exist, so it had to go. One by one, countries abandoned gold. The final break came in 1971. From that moment, money became pure promise. No anchor, no limit, no natural stopping point. Only faith, debt. Part 7. The age of infinite IOUs. Once money wasn't real, everything changed. Growth accelerated artificially. Asset prices exploded. Wages stagnated. Why? Because new money flowed through debt channels, real estate, stocks, bonds, financial assets, not labor, not productivity, not people. Debt became more profitable than work. Part 8. The breaking point. Every debt system eventually hits limits. When borrowers can't borrow anymore, the illusion cracks. 2008 was that moment. The system froze. Credit stopped. Money vanished. Because it was never money, just promises. Central banks responded the only way they could. More debt. Bailouts. Quantitative easing. Zero interest rates. They didn't fix the problem. They delayed it. Part 9, WHY, paying off debt is impossible here. The paradox they never say out loud. If everyone tried to become debt-free at once, the money supply would collapse. Recessions happen when people pay debts faster than new ones are created. So the system discourages repayment, rewards leverage, punishes saving. You're not meant to escape debt. You're meant to manage it forever. Part 10. Modern parallels you can ignore today. Global debt exceeds global GDP. Governments roll debt endlessly. Consumers live on credit. Corporations survive on refinancing. Nothing is ever settled. Everything is postponed. The promise never ends. Part 11. Failed fixes and false solutions. Every solution offered stays inside the same framework. Debt restructuring, debt forgiveness, new stimulus, digital currencies. They change the form, not the foundation, because the foundation is debt. Part 12. The real cost you feel every day. Inflation isn't accidental. Housing isn't unaffordable by mistake. Retirement isn't insecure randomly. They are symptoms of a system where money expands faster than value. Debt outpaces income. Time itself is monetized. You don't just owe money, you owe future labor. Final takeaway is what this all means. Takeaway 1. Money no longer represents value. It represents obligation. Takeaway 2. Debt isn't a phase of the system. It is the system. Takeaway 3. Economic crises aren't failures. They are pressure releases. The warning: a system built on endless promises cannot be completed, only reset, only restructured, only prolonged. And every reset chooses winners and losers. Quietly. Closing thought: the question isn't whether debt will end. It's who will still be holding it when the promises break. Call to action: if this changed how you see money, share it with someone who still believes currency is neutral. Subscribe if you want to understand the systems before they change again. Because once you see the promise behind money, you never look at a paycheck the same way again.